Hi everyone, I am Noelle with Noelle Rollins Art. So today I want to talk about saying no so that you can say yes. And what do I mean by that? Saying no is not easy. In fact, I had to do it this morning and it's really hard sometimes. So I wanted to talk about the emotional part of that and the side we don't like to talk about because it's not fun. So part of my big belief is we pick things that we are really excited about in life, things that really matter to us. I try to live a very intentional life, which means I have goals planned out. I have thought through what I want my next few months to look like or my next year, at least on a big level, right? So I know what major goals I'm working towards. I know what financial goals I'm working towards, where I want my time and energy to go. Within that, I'll often leave some gaps and things for fun and just things to come up. But the budget part of that sometimes leaves me not with as many gaps. And so, or I guess just choices of where we want to put our money. And so, for instance, this morning I had to say no to go to a show at a theater, like a comedian type person coming through town with people that I care about, and I think it would be an amazing event. But I had to always, I hold that against the thing that I'm working towards. So I want that more than this big goal that I'm working towards, and the answer is no. Can I still get quality time with these people that are going to this event without going to the event? Yes. So I can make special time with them some other way that will fit in alignment with my energy and my budget. I also happen to be coming home from a trip the night before this event is happening. So just recognizing the energy and where I want to put it probably isn't immediately going out and doing something different. And that's just me. Most other people may have no issue with that at all. I picture wanting to unwind and kind of dive back into some things that I had put aside for a while. So I went back and forth texting this group on how to respond. And my first response was just being really honest, saying, I get home and I just can't make it work, and it's not in my budget while I'm working towards this other big goal. And then I kind of stopped and just thought, oh, Cal, it always comes back to that, doesn't it? It always kind of feels a little icky when you have to say no, or sorry, you're not as important to me. That's what it feels like you're saying, as this event is. But the truth is, that's where I've put my commitment. That's where I've put my, for my family. And in this situation, we're talking about an around the world trip that I am working towards. And so it's a big, big commitment. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of energy in planning towards that. And it's such an experience that I'm looking forward to we homeschool our youngest. So it's a life-changing experience to show him places around the world and teach him and explore ourselves. And kind of, for me, who works all the time and I love what I do, it's a time to just get to kind of kick back a little bit and explore and be a child myself. And I'm really looking forward to that. But to make that happen, it's requiring like an all hands on deck sort of situation with cuts in the budget from other areas. And I'm really having to be careful to not let that make me feel bad. It's not fun to say, no, sorry, that's not in my budget. Because you feel like they're going to think I'm poor. They're going to think I don't have money, and they don't, or they're going to think that I'm choosing something over them. So the second part of this is just having to be so rock solid in your decisions and your yeses that you don't care. And that sounds harsh, but you just have to not care because it's endless. There are other people's agendas everywhere I look that I'm going to have to this year in order to make this happen. I'm having to bow out of several things. Not things I've already said yes, but just kind of things where I'm expected to do and just go along because I've always done. And things that I do enjoy. There's nothing wrong with the people or the things. I just can't make them all happen. So it's a lot of choices, a lot of no's in order to make the really big yes happen. And sometimes, I've had to do this in the past. When we paid off debt, I had to do the same thing. There was a lot of saying no to family dinners out. I could invite people over and just visit with them or have coffee, trying to choose the more budget-friendly thing. There are times when just during my really busy seasons, it's more of an energy decision where I am putting in long days, especially in 2020 where I couldn't really hire help in the midst of the pandemic. And so I remember just every night for about 2 months getting to bed and being like, okay, honey, I didn't cry today. I didn't have a breakdown. I'm okay. I made it through. And I tried to get as much sleep as I could. And then I'd start again the next day. And I was so thankful for every single order coming through and every single like piece of work I got to do. But it was so much. And there wasn't a lot of energy in other areas for me to give. So I had to say no for that reason often. And there's also just things like time. It's not a budget thing. It's not an energy thing. It's a time thing. It's sorry, I've made all these other commitments. And the time, I think often, especially us parents, we will put the needs of other people, of friends, of coworkers, of people in town wanting our time for donating or volunteering, things like that, over the needs of our own kids, especially over the needs of our own spouse often. And I think that's really tough because we're not really living in alignment then with what we say our kind of goals are. And so kind of I just challenge you, and I do this to myself also, just take a moment and kind of do a gut check on that. If you find yourself putting your own needs last, or your spouse's needs last, or your kids' needs last, and often saying yes out of guilt to other things, I'm just here to cheer you on to say it's okay to say no sometimes. And especially if you can get really clear on what the yeses are and just hold that item up, that thing, that event, that person up compared to every other decision, and use that as kind of a scale of, do I want this more than this item or this thing or this event or this person's time? And make your choices from that place with a bigger perspective and not just moment by moment running hurriedly from, place to place and being completely depleted of energy, which is so common. We've all done it. So what things are you guys saying yes to? I know mine's a big yes this year. In the past, it hasn't always been this big. Sometimes it's just, I've committed to having a garden or a pet. A puppy is a lot of energy and time. And gardening maybe is not involved with other people, but it's taken away from other events while I'm out there weeding or taking care of things. Choosing to get out of debt was a big one, which I've talked about in other videos. That was a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifices, but so worth it. And my whole life is bigger and better because of those decisions. So I'm going to do another video all about the mindset of this, because I think it's so crucial that it is not from a lack place, and it is not from a I'm poor and I don't have money and there's no money coming in, and it's not a panicky place. It's not a small-minded place. I think it's just a really empowered, focused, kind of real, just getting really honest with how much energy, time, money there is in a situation, and honestly gauging those and using that, sometimes pulling your emotions out of that to really let yourself make a proper decision. So I'd love to hear what you would add to this conversation. Well, that artwork didn't want to be there apparently. I'd love to hear what you want to add to this conversation. What have you said yes to? What do you regret saying yes to or saying no to? What was the hardest no that you've had to give? I'd love to hear it. So if you guys haven't subscribed already, I am doing videos all about art business and just business in general, as well as I have a whole bunch of videos I'm doing about loss and about putting your life back together after kind of tailspins out. And while I'll be talking about loss, it's also very fitting for any sort of time, whether it's a divorce or a move or a job change or just something that's happened that's out of your control, and you're having to figure out how to put the pieces together, how to not hate everybody while you're going through it. I've been there, and I really want to talk about it and share, and then hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm all about opening up dialogue. I am not an expert, but I do have a perspective and a history and a some experiences with these topics that I just bring to the table. And then I'd love to hear your perspective on those as well. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Bye.